Hi FlossTube, it's Cynthia. I am back. Yay, finally. Things have been, busy as summer times usually are. So even though you'd think you could finally relax, it hasn't turned out that way. So lots of stuff going on. But I wanted to jump in and do a quick video while I could. So the first thing that I want to talk about is just my status on my water garden from Chatelaine. And I've been working a lot on this. At the moment, I am working exclusively on this, and I have made some good progress. I'm not sure where I'd been last time. I don't know that you have yet seen the stone fencing, if you will, along here. You can see that I've started doing the greenery here and also one of the potted plants here. This, you might tell, has some little openings, and there'll be some pretty beads in there. There's a matching one, of course, on this side, but I'm trying to be good and leave the beads off for now, especially because I have to do the back stitching on this gold gate. So I didn't want to be trying to back stitch and have my thread catch on the beads. There's also going to be some back stitching and outlining of the greenery, but again, I'm waiting on that. So the idea is to just really get this corner filled in with all of the basic cross stitching first. And then, of course, as you know, all of this is going to be repeated in each of the four corners. So it's a lot of work, but I am really proud of how it's coming along. And when it's all done, it's going to be stunning. So that's super fun. So that is my quick little update on that. And then, oh my gosh, I should, Pam and Steph have their little weekly finishes with their little bell and all of that. So I need to come up with something, some trumpet or fanfare or who knows what. But I actually finished my beautiful Easter lily mermaid. Yay! Didn't she turn out so pretty? Of course, she hasn't been pressed yet, but I am just so excited because this pattern is really pretty. The colors are fabulous. And like I said, this one has been just going in and out of rotation for years. So if I had really focused and stitched exclusively on her, she would have been done sooner. But, you know, life happens and things change, and she just got set aside repeatedly for long periods of time. So she is officially done, and from the best I can figure, it's been a good 5 years that she's been in the works. So again, she doesn't take 5 years to stitch if you focus on her and dedicate, a certain amount of time each week or each month, however you want to do it. She would have been done much sooner. But anyway, I think she is so pretty, and all of those rich, beautiful colors are probably even prettier in person than they're coming up on screen. And then there's just a little bit of sparkle here and there, just a tiny bit in her skin, and then again in those pretty lilies, and then her tail. And then I had mentioned before that I did this whole strip here exclusively with the parking method, and it wasn't bad at all. It's just that it really slowed me down because I'm just not used to doing it. And then again, I did a little more. Actually, this whole section I kind of did a combination of cross-country and parking. When there were larger sections of color, I just went ahead and stitched it. And then I was doing the parking method for a lot of the confetti, especially here in the background with all the constant color changes. So anyway, now she's all done, and the plan is I now have 3 Heaven and Earth finishes that are roughly the same size. So my idea was to take them down to the frame shop and you know, get them all done together. Not necessarily to match, but I wanted them all framed the same size so that I can create kind of a grouping on my wall. I have a long stretch of wall in the hallway that is completely bare, and I think I'm going to put my 3 finishes up there. So that is that. Okay, so the next thing I was going to share with you is a work in progress that's been going on for oh my gosh, honestly, it's been so long I can't recall. So to say that it's been a minimum of 10 years is not an exaggeration. So this one just simply got put aside, and I just never went back. You know, what else can I say? But I'm still hanging on to it because, you know, I just was waiting for that wonderful moment when I would be able and re-inspired to pick it up again. So it's the Queen of Roses from the Silver Lining, and I actually have, as you might imagine, a bunch of Silver Lining patterns because it's all florals and they're just stunningly beautiful. So, well, basically photorealistic, just about. And that's really nice in the world of cross stitching because usually you have to do something like crewel embroidery if you really, really want super fine detail like that. But the Silver Lining brings that look through cross stitching. So it's really nice. And then it's done over one of your fabric, just like the Heaven and Earth designs are. So you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So here is a piece of my 25 count fabric, and here is my progress. So you can see what I mean when I talk about that photorealistic quality. So it's really, really gorgeous. And now that I'm looking at it again for the first time in a long time, I really want to pick this one up again. It's just beautiful. And what did I say this was called? Queen of Roses. So I've gotten, you know, this is really good progress actually. So now that I've finished my mermaid, maybe I'll pick this one up as a, you know, a current work in progress, put it in my little rotation. But anyway, so that is what that looks like. And then I'm a big fan of the floss away bags because I like to just, you know, use some floss. When I'm done with that color, I just tuck it in the bag and move on. It's just quick and easy for me. So I have all my DMCs here in bags on the ring. And then there's anchor colors, and I'm actually using both the anchor flosses and the DMCs that the pattern called for. But I have my anchor flosses separate here in this container. So it just helps me, you know, keep them separate so I know which one is which brand. So anyway, that one is gorgeous, and I should really start that up again. All right, so for my next work in progress, I have this Heaven and Earth Designs pattern called Green Eyed Magic from Jasmine Beckett Griffith. And she is one of my favorite artists, and I just love her beautiful images and then those big, gorgeous eyes. I am such a sucker for eyes. It's always my favorite part of any image. And so, that's a reason why I'm a big fan of hers. And this, of course, is an older pattern. Most of my Heaven and Earth designs were purchased quite a long time ago. And that was just because I had just discovered them. And you know how that is. You find something that you're passionate about and you just run with it. So most of my patterns have been collected quite some time ago. So anyway, this one is really nice. And then I just printed off a black and white working copy, but really the image is black and white itself, but her eyes are in color and her eyes are green. So again, I've got all my colors here in the Floss Away bags. And I actually, there's more than this, but when I finished her eyes, I put all the green ones away because, again, I won't need them. And there were quite a few. So here is where I've gotten on her. And you'll really have to pardon all of those folds and creases. It's kind of terrible. But anyway, this will give you a good strong idea of where I'm at. And you can see her gorgeous green eyes. And then all of that sparkling thread. And since this, I don't know, well, this is my only Jasmine Beckett Griffith that I've ever actually stitched, which is crazy to think about. But as I'm looking at it, it just dawns on me that yes, I have only ever stitched this one. Out of all the patterns of hers that I own, this is the one that I chose to start with. And again, it just ended up getting set aside and never gone back to. So because this was my very first, I was actually using the Kreinik 032, which is from all the patterns that I currently own from Heaven and Earth, it seems like that's the sparkle that is in most of the patterns. When it calls for sparkle, it's Kreinik 032. So I have a ton of it. And it's a good staple sparkle to have, but, you know, I have a ton of it. So I actually was using the Kreinik. And, you know, it's thick enough where you can only use one strand. And I think it was so thick that I did tent stitches. I don't think I did full cross for that. But anyway, you know, I kind of don't really care for the look of it. Maybe it looks better on the camera. But I sure the heck am not going to pull it out. And I'm certainly not starting over. So it is what it is. The other issue I was having with this, and again, you'll have to excuse me if you can't see this, but, and there's a tremendous amount of fuzz here, so that's unfortunate. But anyway, I don't know if you can see, it's just barely noticeable in person, but there's actually multiple colors, very, very dark colors within her wings, because that's what this dark patch is right here, is the edge of one of her wings. So the problem I was having is that, you know, I'm switching colors, and I'm just stitching in what looks like black. Do you know what I mean? The colors are so closely matched that I feel like all that detail is getting lost. So again, you know, you don't know these things until you start stitching. And then by the time you realize what's happening, it's kind of too late to switch. So that's disappointing because there is a lot of color changes between dark blues and black and dark grays, you know, so there's actually quite a bit of floss colors in here, and yet it's just coming across as being a big dark blob. So, you know, I don't know what to say about it. It is what it is. Wait, it is what it is. Sorry. And then the good news is that you can tell here by her neckline, the bodice of her dress, and the outline of her little body here is a lot more high contrast. So when I do that stitching, it'll show up better. And even the little shoulder pieces on this side, you know, you can see the different colors in there. So that's good. But here is the top of her other wing. And again, it's just going to end up being a big dark panel. So that's why I kind of got, you know, a little disheartened along the way. And then the other thing is that this piece of fabric, as you can see, this little edge that I put in real quick temporarily is the actual edge of the pattern. And again, it's over here as well. But it's so close to the cut edge of my fabric that I actually brought the pattern in. So I cut off this much of the pattern. So in other words, I'm not stitching this whole section here, and I'm not stitching this whole panel here, and again, not stitching this. So I'm kind of, you know, pulling in the focus so that I have more fabric border. And then considering it's just background and the edges of her wings, I don't feel too bad. But see how close that is? This line is the line for the edge of the pattern. And then this is how close I am to the bottom of the fabric piece. So I'll probably have to shorten it this way as well. But anyway, so this one's kind of, you know, it is what it is. It's a learning process. You know, whenever I just feel like stitching for the heck of it, I'll turn to this one. But I'm not going to make any kind of promises. And it's a bummer because, like I said, I love the designer. I love her eyes. I think the stitching I've done on it is fine. It's just, you know, running into those problems I mentioned. All right, so now I'm going to show you my birthday haul. Now, my birthday is in the middle of June, and here it is the middle of July. Or actually past the middle of July. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and share with you the rest of my haul. My previous video, I showed you a little bit of fabric that I purchased, but now I'm going to show you the rest of my items. So I picked up this beautiful memorabilia. This one is Royal Holiday, a Christmas Queen. And I just think that she is really, really lovely. And I know that there are the 4-season queens. There's one for spring, summer, fall, winter. And they're all lovely, but I mean, they're so old now that I'm sure some, if not all, are out of print. But I'm not passionate enough about them to worry about it. So I've done the Queen of Peace, which is a finished object of mine, and I can show that to you in a later video. But I've done that one because I thought she was really lovely, and she turned out lovely. And so I was very happy. And then this queen is gorgeous, and I love the details. I love the colors. I might change the color of her gown, but since I've never changed a memorabilia, I don't know if I'm going to start now. But anyway, regardless of that, she's gorgeous, and I know she's going to work up really beautifully. If this one calls for Whisper, it does. I am definitely not going to use Whisper. Again, I'm sure it would be gorgeous, but I don't want to give myself the headache of trying to use it. You know, I want to enjoy this, and I want to happily stitch it. I don't want it to become an abandoned item because I got sick of the Whisper. So I'm just not going to fuss with it. I'm just going to use white, and or at least maybe I'll pick up maybe a white silk, you know, just something to make it a little bit special without, you know, struggling with the Whisper. So then I got this one, and I'm so happy I did because I just think she is going to be fabulous. And I poked around online, and I saw several different finishes of her, and she is truly spectacular. So this is the Gypsy Queen, and what is her number? 142. But anyway, I just think that she is stunning. And does she call for, well, see, it's Whisper again, but we know I won't do that. Then it does have 3 different colors of the water lilies, a bunch of beads, of course, some treasures, and some Krynic. So, but again, I've used Krynic a ton of times. I'm not afraid of it. It might be a little fussy, but I can work with it. So I have no problem using Krynic. And then this one is one that I have wanted for a really long time, and they just happened to have it, so I grabbed it. It's Deepest Love by Nora, and she is really, really pretty. Again, I've seen her finished, and she's very beautiful. And then I'll probably pick, you know, some sort of a hand-dyed fabric, you know, just to make her extra special. And then if I ever get my hands on Mermaid of the Pearls, that's my other little unicorn pattern that I've always wanted to stitch and have never done. So this one just calls for one color of Krynic, and then some treasures, and then some beads. So this one isn't too bad at all, but I think it's going to be beautiful. And then I bought several things. I bought Zelda, and I had mentioned that my plan now, I don't want to own every single memorabilia. You know, that's not my goal, because I don't love every single memorabilia. They're all lovely, and they're all very, very well done, but not all of them are my cup of tea, so to speak. And so I'm just not going to order or buy the patterns, you know. I just don't feel that desire. So what I did want to do, though, is when I find one that I want, I'm just going to buy it. You know, I'm not going to wait like I used to do and just keep thinking over and over again that, oh, I'll grab it next time, you know, I'll grab it, you know, and then all of a sudden it's out of print. So I'm like Mermaid of the Pearls. That was on my wish list for years, and there's no reason that I couldn't have picked it up at any point, but I just didn't. So I'm not going to let myself, you know, get derailed like that. So I liked Zelda. I grabbed the pattern, done. And she does call for quite a bit of beads. She even has a DMC water lily blend, and then there's a bunch of water lilies here. So again, because they were all in stock, I went ahead and bought all of the beautiful water lily colors right when I bought the pattern. And that way, no matter how long I wait to stitch her, I'm going to have the materials that I need. So that's another goal that I have, especially with something like the water lilies, because I mean, I'm sure water lilies are going to be produced for who knows how far into the future, and that's awesome. But I'm just not going to, like I said, I'm not going to let myself get derailed anymore. So I bought the silks now. And then I bought a piece of this gorgeous African Daisy Jobelin even weave in 28 count, and this is an 18 by 26 inch piece. All of this, by the way, was purchased at 123stitch.com, which is one of my all-time favorite websites for both cross-stitching supplies as well as scrapbooking supplies. So it's a great site for many reasons, but they're just wonderful people. They're friendly, they're fast, they're courteous. They've got an amazing product line. I highly recommend them. But anyway, I obviously can't show you the entire piece because I don't have that kind of room on my desktop, but you can see how gorgeous this fabric is. Hopefully the color variation is coming across on video, but it's really pretty. And it's subtle, but noticeable, which is nice because it's lovely, but then it's not going to distract you from what you're stitching on it. And honestly, you know, I'm not entirely sure that Zelda is going to look good on it. You know, you can see the silks against the yellow. I think looks pretty, you know. And then the problem with me is that I get too matchy, you know, so like my instinct is to use a pink fabric. Well, that's gonna just, you know, it's gonna kind of wash out her dress, you know, if I do pink and then she's pink. And then if I tried to do purple, it'd be difficult to find just the right tone of purple. Obviously doing a neutral background is always a good choice because then there's no fighting. But I don't know. So maybe the yellow isn't the best choice. I have to do a floss toss, which I have not yet done. And then we'll see, because it could either be pretty or terrible. But I wanted to show you that years ago, I had used another piece of the African daisy to stitch the poppy pattern from Mirabilia. And let me show you how she turned out. So, again, pardon the folds, but there is my beautiful poppy. And I just love her. She's so pretty. And there she is on the yellow. And even though, you know, there's no yellow in her, I think she looks really pretty. Very striking with all that red against the yellow. And then you can see she has a little bit of, you know, kind of a beautiful, rich, purpley berry tone in here. And then her lovely wings, lots of Krynic, obviously lots of beads, but just a really lovely pattern. And then also, I really like her on the yellow. So this is, again, this is an old finish of mine, but I love her. So I just kind of wanted to show you that I've used the yellow before and I do like it a lot. And I want to use it again, but I just need to find, like I said, the right project for it. So we'll see how things shape up. And then the final bit is a pattern I've wanted, again, ever since I saw her, and I went ahead and grabbed it. It's Florentina by Nora Corbett, excuse me. She's number 138. She calls for, here's some DMC blends. Then there's quite a few water lilies, which are the silks, a couple different Krynics, some beads, and a treasure. So I really like her a lot. And of course, because she has a beautiful kitty right there. So I obviously am very partial to cats. And again, this could have been stitched or could be stitched on that yellow. But I don't know, because these flowers here, and you can even see some here, and then her blonde hair, I think she's going to end up getting washed out again. It's just going to end up looking, you know, so monochromatic. And even here in the sample, you can see that those yellow flowers are actually difficult to pick out against the background here. So that tells me I want a higher contrast. And I hope you guys don't cringe when you see this. But this is the gorgeous Mirage. It's a Picture This Plus hand-dyed fabric. And again, it's the 28 count Lugana, and this one is 17 by 26. And this piece of fabric is beautiful. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I want to stitch everything on this. So obviously I'm going to have to buy more because it's just lovely. And there are so many things, especially within the Mirabilias, that would look beautiful on this piece of fabric. So, you know, honestly, I think Zelda could be really pretty. Look at the Zelda water lilies against that. I mean, really, really pretty. But let's look at the Florentina water lilies against it. So see, here's those yellows from the beautiful flowers, and then one of them, this one's called Blonde. I don't know if you stitch your hair with it, but it's called Blonde. So again, And then these pretty berry tones here, and then even the soft pinky purples here. You know, all of these look really nice. This is the only one that's, you know, a little closer to matching the fabric, if you will, but depending on what this is stitched, I'm not sure what portion. Maybe the leaves, you know, which, you know, that's just a little bit. But anyway, so I don't know. Those colors look pretty. And she would really pop, you know, because she's so soft and pale. She would pop against this fabric. So, you know, I kind of have this earmarked for her. But again, I'm not sure. So I think I'm definitely going to be buying more of the Mirage. But I love it. It's beautiful. All right. So that was my birthday haul. I think I did really well. I don't know what it all added up to. Let's not talk about that. It was a very special birthday present. A nice big box of cross-stitching stuff. So it only happens once a year, and there you go. So anyway, I hope that you had fun seeing everything that I shared today. I hope you guys are having fun stitching wherever you are. And I will be certainly continuing on with my chatelaine, and I'll keep you guys posted on my progress with that. And then I'm not really anticipating any more haul for a while because there's, you know, a lot of things that I'm stitching, and then also I want to put my money towards framing those 3 finished Heaven and Earths that I told you about. So I kind of have my little fun money earmarked already for that. So you won't see much haul from me for a while. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. I really hope that you enjoyed yourself while you're here. Please feel free to leave a comment. Click like if you enjoyed this video. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please join us, because you never know what I'm going to come up with next. Hopefully I'll come up with a better summer schedule so that I can post a little more often. So you guys take care of yourselves. I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.